That'll do. I hit something when I went to turn it around. Everybody, please. Trying to get everything going. Give me just a second. I hit the wrong button somewhere. American Eagle, what's up, Randy? Hello. Carlo said, well, what's up, y'all? Pops, hello, Carlo. Jane said, hi, Pops. Jane says, hi, Carlo. Sorry, everybody, I am running behind, trying to get everything going. Get everything going. Let's see. Carlos said, hey, Jane. Craig said, could you give us a snow accumulation report? I'm going to say we probably ended up with about an inch, maybe an inch and a half at the tops. Most of it was sleet and freezing rain last night. Daniel said, happy Monday, everyone. Hey, everyone. Happy Monday. Hey, everyone. Sorry.
But the best part about that snow report is it's mostly gone.
Yes, it is mostly gone.
Thank God.
The roads, some of the back roads still look bad, but this was not a very slick snow, so to speak.
Very northerny, very powdery.
Yeah, it really, your vehicle, you had to make your vehicle spin around. It didn't just slide, you know. So anyway, Jane said, hi, Craig. John said hi. Jane said hi, Daniel. And Jane said hi, John. Carlos said, be right back. Have to test bronze blood sugar. Can you say hi to Renzo? Hello, Renzo.
And hey, Carlo.
Hello, Carlo, Renzo.
Hey,
Mike said, it's 6 p.m. Do you know where your Randy are?
Randy's are.
I know, right?
Have you checked on your Randy's today?
Y'all better check on them just to make sure they're good.
It's supposed to be 5 degrees tonight, but with the roads cleared up as best as they are, everybody, I'm going to make like a baby and head out, and I'm going to go see my wife and kids and maybe watch a movie with them. But everybody have a good day, good night whenever you're watching this. And remember, most importantly, keep it silly. Thank you.
Randy's heading out, so you be careful, buddy. Love you. All right.
Love you, Daddy.
Love you. Be careful.
You too.
Carlos said, hey, R3, let me fix the door right quick, please. All right, let's see. Carlos said, hey, R3. American Eagle says, be right back. I forgot it was on my other profile. Whoops. Proud American said, hey, hello. Jay said, we got 13 inches in Ohio, going to be here for weeks. Next week it's going to be extremely cold here. Ooh. John Deere says, I'm back. What's up, everybody? Hello, John Deere. Jane said, hi, Mike. Olivia said, it's the Randys. Yeah, little Randy's got to go, but Jane said, hey, Reno, sorry, Craig said the mainstream is making it out to be an emergency in your state. I would say, you know, on up towards the mountains, they probably got hit a lot worse than we did, but the mountains always stop it from hitting us. It does get bad on into the other part of the state, but we're not that bad. Jane said, bye, R3. Jane said, hi, Olivia. Olivia says, fine. Bye, Randy. And hi, Jane. Randy the man said, fine. Bye, Olivia. Mike said, hi, Jane. Beth said, hello, Jane. Proud American said, sir, you might not believe me, but I really love your lives no more than I really love your lives more than those Hot Lane Lives. You are the best. Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. Jane said, hi, Beth. Olivia says, why you son so mean? I think he's just being, I think you started it by saying fine, right? Well, you know. Jane said, I need an escape plan. It's called Sell and Move. Anywhere warmer? I agree, Jane. Randy says, you'd be mean if you were me too. Olivia says, I am mean. Okay, why you gotta be mean? Is that supposed to be Jason? The two S's though. Jason, everyone say, Penny had a great time, but no one can tell me if nickel, dime, or quarter had fun. Do you know? I do not know. Then all the change seemed to enjoy herself. Jane said, hi, proud. I missed something somewhere, I'm sure. John Deere says, R3, have fun with your family. Randy said, thanks, Jacob. Baldy's Batty said, Slay, hey. Proud American said, and what's the story behind the CSX t-shirt? I work for CSX. Well, let me rephrase it. CSX and Norfolk Southern own us. We're short line, Winston-Salem southbound. I'm a track inspector. Randy actually works for conductor or engineer, whichever comes on the day. And we both work for Winston-Salem southbound, which is co-owned by CSX. And this is my work shirt. Proud American said, hey, Jane. Olivia said, cause it's a good God-given right. Well, I guess it's Randy's God-given right too. Jay says, song request? No, we don't do songs. Jane said, Lord, could you imagine all those coins making whoopee in your pocket? Yeah, it rubs the edges right off of them. Proud American says, what? That's amazing. Asparagus Alloy says, would you be a femboy for a night for exchange for $20? Nope. Carlos says, I'm back, y'all. Kev says, free that Diddy. What the hell would we want to do that? I don't have Diddy. Maria, at least you're not wearing black. I was going to take my yellow shirt off, but then I'd have an orange undershirt. And I can't have that. I got to hide my arms. Let's see. Jane said, hi, Maria. Maria says, you like Diddy in your closet. We all know that. Proud American says, I love BNSF, CSX, etc. I am railway enthusiast. I love trains too. Cool. I heard there might be some emerging going on. Proud American says, America with a bunch of hearts. Vinny says, you can always dye the yellow shirt black. Yeah, I could. Or just go put a black shirt on. YouTube said, what's up, boss? Can you got any for me to do tomorrow at the shop? Unfortunately, we're both working tomorrow. We won't be doing much. Wish somebody was here to keep the heat going, though. Teddy Bear says, can I be a mod? I'm not making any more mods because, well, we used to make everybody mods, but it got to where it was not a good thing. So we hold off on the mods. Thank you, though, for wanting to be a part of it. Jane said, no, Olivia, he has bodies. Lord. Maria said, you should wear orange again. What's all that thing behind you? What are we looking at? That messy desk? Maria said, what's all that things behind you? If you're talking about the messy desk, it just needs to be cleaned up. YouTube says, I'll be there at 5 a.m. tomorrow. I have a rick of firewood on a flatbed. Have a helper if you can. I've got firewood. I just need somebody here to keep it going. Maria said on the desk. That's just snacks and look. We got Cocoa Puffs, honey buns, chocolate Ritz crackers. We got our hat, just our toboggans and stuff. It's just a pile off right now for all the cold and stuff. I'll usually leave here and go to work, so I grab my snacks, goes in my box. Let's see. Maria says on the desk, Trump says people disappear because of their mouth. You understand? Yeah, I do. Jimmy said, sup, fam, dip the dessert Ritz. Yeah. Maria said, who convinced you not to wear orange? Really? Penny says, I know it's doof, but a childhood toy I used to love is now super expensive. I think it's called box cars. The tracks with the cars and the copper wire underneath you can that you could still race with friends. Yes, I'd like to have that. I remember those. Proud American said, just remind y'all moderators I love y'all too. Cool. Maria says too many snacks. No. Jimmy donated one, is that euro, I believe? $1 or euro or €1 or something. I don't really know what that is, but thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Everything helps. It all goes into account, and we'll go back into the setting the place up and everything. Maria said, where's little Randy? He just left to go home to be with his family. He's been here for 2 days because of the weather. And he's gone home, going to eat and watch a movie with wife and kids. Maria said, Jane, did you see my message? Jane said, Lowell, thanks, proud. Harrison sent 100 for 2 jewels. Thank you. Jane said, hi, Jimmy. John Deere said, man, it's cold where I live. It's cold here too, John Deere. Jimmy said, bonjour. I know I'm saying it wrong and I can think of it, but I just can't say it right. Bonjour, Jane. Jane said, Maria, I haven't yet. Maria says, oh, come on. I didn't say anything bad about your orange shirt recently. John Deere said, 8 degrees tonight where I live. Man, it's cold. Last I heard it was going to be 10 here, and Randy said it changed to being 5. So I do not look forward to tonight or tomorrow morning. Jimmy said, it's a pound, lad. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for a pound. I don't know those. I do appreciate it. I really do. Beth said, Jane, Mike wants you to check out NDP community page. Uh-oh, I need to check it out for something on there. Jane said, I wish it'd give me notifications that stuff was on there, but I'll check it out also. Jane said, it's 7 Fahrenheit here right now. Ooh. Okay, Google. What's the temperature right now in Denton, North Carolina?
The current temperature in Denton is 26 degrees.
It's 26 degrees right now. Denton says it's supposed to be -5 tonight. Carlos said, guys, just found out it's going to be 122 Fahrenheit in Australia. I'll tell you what, Carlo, I know that's hot, but I would switch it in a heartbeat for this mess. I can't stand it. Maria said, recently? Oh. Why you care about it now? Lehman said, long time no see. I know, it's been a while. Thank you, though, for coming back. I do appreciate it. Jane said, Carlos, send a little this way. It's so cold. Proud American said, anyone here know about POWMIA? I don't know. I mean, I've heard of it, know what they are, but I don't know nothing about them. Mike said, it pertains to the live stream. Impala J says, hey everyone, hello Impala. Maria says, I know there's other persons who told you not to wear it because you don't care about my opinions about your dress and eating habits. I believe it's just you. But a lot of people did say something about just orange and just yellow. So it wasn't just you. But then again, I will be back. Jay says, yep, I know POW and MIA. Jimmy says, damn, that's cold as F. Yep, Fahrenheit. Mike said, hello, Jay. And Paula says, hello, Long Ranch. Mike says, hi, Carlo. Maria said, Mike, I followed you in Instagram. John Deere says, will be hot and cold. Proud America said, Jane, I met a guy on YouTube with a POWMIA and made me darn happy. Jane said, hi, Jay. Carlos said, what's up, Mike? Jimmy said, damn, that chair needs some WD-40. I know, I've got used to it, and I know it aggravates y'all, and I'm sorry, but I haven't fixed the one I broke the other day. Mike said, thank you, Maria. I'll look for you. Impala said, hi, Jane. Carlos said, what's up, Impala? John Deere said, dang it. I meant I'd rather be warm than freezing my nuts off. And I'm the same way. Impala said, what's up, big boys? Hello, John Deere. Maria says, they're stupid people, don't care about them. Wear whatever it makes you comfortable and happy. Jane said, proud when I was teen, we used to wear these bracelets of POWMIA from veteran Vietnam War. Maria said, but I'm not stupid. Olivia said, hey, guys, guess what? What's that, Olivia? Impala said, hi, Olivia. Proud American said, Jane, you are awesome. 3 hearts and 3 American flags. Maria said, what? Olivia says, I like the orange. I do too, Olivia. Aren't you? If y'all didn't know, orange is my favorite color. Jane said, oh man, Mike, that's great. CD says, huh? I think it meant hi, but hello. Says, I can't hear anything. Turn your hearing aid up. Hear anything? Whoop. It's not on this end. Ha! Proud American said, sir, what's your favorite car of all times? 1969 Chevrolet Z28 Camaro. Carlos said, Olivia. Mike says, I'll follow back Maria. Thank you. Maria said, oh my God, I didn't know. Well, see, you learned something today. Wire Ghost said, 710 says, hell no. Jane said, proud. I don't think they ever recovered the guy that was on my bracelet. Maria said, I thought your favorite color was black now. No. Maria said, sorry, it's color. Color. Bill says, I love Ritz crackers. Yeah, me too. Olivia said, chicken butt. I thought about doing something like that. Maybe just something randomly hide in the everybody likes looking at the wall and everything and what's in the office. I thought about trying to do something for somebody to find stuff in here just to see what happens. Maria says, you used to teach me new words every day. What happened now? You just got too smart. I was such a good teacher. You know everything now. Olivia said, hey, Jane, Wire Ghost says, you ever try to suck that thing in? I do. And I even got a back brace I put on every once in a while because people like you was looking at it and saying stuff about it. But you know something? I don't even care. I'm happy with me. Jane said, Pops, you get laundry done or have we moved into the sniff and wear area? Nope, I did my laundry. It was actually done when you were saying something about it, but I didn't say nothing about it. I deliberately put that black shirt. I went and bought that black shirt and had Randy make it that day just to wear it that night. Proud American said, Jane, at least you didn't forgot him. At least you care for his sacrifice. Wire Ghost says, boy, you need some Crescent, not a back brace. You're right. You know, you ought to send me one or donate enough money so I can afford one. Maria said, yeah, that's right. My brain is getting so big it doesn't fit my head anymore. That's what I thought, but I didn't want to hyperextend it, so I didn't want to. I slowed down on it a little bit. You're getting very smart, Maria. Very smart. Nickel Pony said, hey, Pops, hope weather wasn't too rough on y'all. It slapped me hard here. It's still slapping us. The ice and snow's gone, which is, to be honest with you, if it was going to hit, I would have rather had a bunch of snow than this, ice and stuff. But it is what it is. It things happen for a reason, and don't know the reason. Olivia said, hey, Carlo. Bill said, Chessie System Express. Maria said, but you still have a little bit of wisdom. I try to hide just a little bit. Halston said, I'm saddened by the crimes that have occurred in Minneapolis. I haven't been watching the news, so sorry, I don't know what's happened, but if there's crimes, I'm saddened for it with you. Maria says, and some smart opinions. Yes. I definitely got some opinions, whether they right or wrong. YouTube say, okay, if you have firewood, I'll bring my neighbor kid to work. I'll pay him in hard work and bologna sandwiches. Oh yeah, I can handle that now. Maria said, it's definitely not opinion about food. We all got opinions, that just don't make them right. Well, they might be right in my head. Proud American, sir, you got so mad at someone that you felt like to blow the other person's head. Whoa. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. He retracted the message when I was reading it. I didn't know where it was going, but anyway, Impala said, ice was definitely rough. Yes. Olivia said, it's so cold. Johnny says, are you sick? Nope. Proud American said, sir, did you ever? You retracted your message. I didn't get to finish it. But if it was saying what I think you were saying, I have got that mad before. Jane said, hey, Nickel, 13 inches of snow. Temperature is 7 Fahrenheit, going to be 5 tonight. Woo! Maria says, I had a conversation with my dad today about going to the north and see the snow in the next holiday. Well, that would be awesome, Maria. I'd love to, because you said I think you said you've seen it before, but you haven't got to see it a lot. That would be awesome. Now that you're a lot smarter, that would be awesome for you to be able to go see it. Nickel Pony said, geez, Louise, Miss Jane, brutal, bundle up. Sorry. Maria said, I swear, if I didn't see the snow this year, I'll go crazy. Go? I thought you were already crazy. Maria said, he said, just watch it on your phone. What a smart solution. Men are simple-minded. I was going to say that. We're so simple-minded. You can watch it on your phone and still stay warm. It won't even make you cold. And just to let you know, I've got a heater under this desk, and my feet are actually starting to feel good for the day because my feet has been cold all day. And that never happens in the summertime. Not one time have my feet been cold in the summertime. Nickel Pony said, I had a tree hit the house here late Saturday night. Got it removed. Still a few trees to take care of, but everyone is good. That's what matters. That's what Randy was saying that happened to you. Didn't you just buy that house? Literally just a couple months ago, didn't you just buy it? Johnny said, I just volunteered for ICE. Anything to help my President Trump. Maria says, I want to touch it. Feel it. Live it. I understand, Maria. I do. I just picking with you. It is something that is, it is beautiful. And if you go to it and see it and feel it and hear it, everything is so quiet. And I think that is one of the best things about snow. It's a insulator, and all the sound just goes away. Everything's real quiet. I think that's beautiful. Mormac, Daryl Mormac says no political, no politics in here, Johnny. Patrick said, where's the beef? Right over there is hot dogs. Randy had steak back there. There's a to-go box back there somewhere. He may have thrown it away, but Patrick said hi. Hello, Patrick. Nick Capone said, yes, sir. Our house is 3 months old. That's what I thought, man. Which it was bad that a tree fell on your house, period. But I told Randy, I said, dang, he just bought that house. I hate that for you, buddy. Olivia said, yes, political. Let's talk about the politics of Pluto. Let's don't. You've been in here a long time. You know we don't do that. Patrick said, is that your house? That I'm in right here is the building. See, Maria says, I like quiet. And Paula said, Mac. Daryl said, Jay. Maria said, he's in jail. Olivia said, Lowell, I'm playing. Lowell, I'm playing bit. Pluto is a planet. It was a planet when I was in high school. Olivia said, Mac. Alert, you got me? Okay, it's been reported. Now leave, please. Badlands Bandit said, hello there, sir. Hello. More, Daryl says, Ghostly. Proud American said, sir, how you control anger. I have worked on myself for the last 2.5 years, and I have come to find out that you make yourself mad. You let everybody make you mad. Just because if somebody tells you you got blue hair and you don't, then don't let it bother you. If somebody calls you stupid and you know that you're not stupid, don't let it bother you. Just like water on a duck's back, let it roll off. You control you, and you make you happy. That's what I say. Maria said, the trolls are here. Someone should delete them. Daryl got it. Olivia says, it's a planet now. Okay. I thought they said it wasn't, and then it was. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know. I've never been to it, so I don't care. Scott, Valerie Scott said, do you know what community is good for? No, don't know nothing about it. Don't care to know nothing about it. Livia said, don't let the world lie to you. Maria said, when you were in high school, everything was different. This is so true. That's right. Patrick said, I just flipped my Jeep in the snow. That's not good. Olivia said, I'm Olivia's mad, everybody. She's one of these long word mads. Jane said, Patrick, I hope you are okay. Olivia said, at almost nothing all the time. Patrick said, I am. Proud American said, sir, you are awesome. Love your personality. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're here, and I love to be being a part of it. Jane said, how bad's the Jeep, Patrick? Maria said, how do you feel after living my dream? You were a kid in the 70s, teens in the 80s, young adult in the 90s. I used to think people grew up in the 40s and 50s was cool, but I'll be honest with you, I think I grew up in about the best era that there is. Everybody's got phones attached to them and everything. We didn't have all that back when I was young. I think it was a lot less complicated. But it is awesome. I'm glad I lived in the era that I did. Olivia said, hey, you should call Pluto has rights too. Maria said, was it a good experience? I think so. Patrick said, bad. Richard Wallerhead says, Proud America said, was Pluto or wasn't a planet during your high school? I was taught it was the farthest planet from the sun. Now, it was just a little bitty planet, but they considered it a planet. Jane said, sorry about that, Patrick, but you're okay. Patrick says, I get it back on the road tonight. Olivia said, you okay, Patrick? Good. Now, can I say skill issue? Patrick said, yes. Maria says, Olivia, Randy has rights too. Sin A himself said, Trump 2028, baby. Patrick says, it was a 2026. Oh, Lord. Daryl said, no politics. Y'all better listen to Daryl now. He done told y'all. Hard-headed people. Maria said, and that's America. Carlos said, Pops, just sent you an email, okay? That must have been what just went off. Olivia said, yeah, Pops does, but Randy, no. Maria said, America. Jane said, oh, man, sorry, Patrick. Patrick says, my car lot have moved. More. My car lot have more. Maria said, Kane is sleeping behind. Yes, he is out like a log. Dora the Explorer got deleted by Jane for saying I will. Oh, I see what they're doing now. See, Dora the Explorer, we don't do that. Jane said, Patrick, what state are you in? Proud American said, exactly, sir. The 60s through the 90s was awesome. Sadly, I didn't got a chance but to live in the 60s through the 90s. Patrick says, own it. Maria says, he is a good dog. He seems to be a great dog. Patrick said, PA, Pennsylvania. I guess that'd be right. Maria said, please don't let him drink Pepsi. Patrick said, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Jane said, I'm in Ohio. Proud America said, the United States of America. Lotus said, hello, Lotus. Daryl says, good car show there, Patrick. Lotus. Olivia said, America, you can't catch Daryl. Carlos said, what's up, Lotus? Jane said, hi. Nickel Pony said, Lotus. Lotus said, what's up, Olivia? Patrick said, I know where that is. And Olivia said, hey, Lotus. Lotus said, what's up, Daryl? Jane said, hi, Lotus. Carlos said, what's up, Daryl? Lotus said, hey, Nick. Olivia said, I'm good. How are you? And Lotus said, what's up, Carlo? Daryl said, big. Lotus said, Jane. Maria said, how many pets you had in your life? I have no idea, Maria. I couldn't even count them, to be honest with you. Don't remember a lot of them. I remember the names and stuff. There's no telling. Mike said, hi, Daryl and Lotus. Lotus said, what's up, Randy? And hey, wait, we missing a Randy. Yeah, he went on home to be with his wife and kids since he hadn't been home in 2 days. Lotus said, what's up, Lone? Daryl said, Mike. Maria said, I own cats, birds, and fish, but I haven't had a dog. That's because dogs are man's best friend, other than chickens. Lotus said, hi, Maria. Patrick says, I am on the way to my car lot now. Maria says, I think I'll get a small one day. I don't like small dogs. Snowman Yankee 777 said, are you driving the train? No, I'm a track inspector. Randy drives the train, my son. Olivia said, yeah, because the other Randy has no rights. Only Pop-Pops is free and called children. Lotus said, don't forget the chickens. I was saying chickens. Dear Turner said, what's up, my Shiganigan friends? Hello. Olivia said, Boggy isn't free either. Mike said, Maria, if you ever get a dog, you'll always want one from that point on. My friend says, what do you do for the rail industry? I'm a track inspector. I inspect the track to make sure it's safe for the trains. Jane said, hello, Maria's pet chicken. Maria said, fuck the chickens. Maria, what language, Maria? Rumple said, hello, Pops. Hello, Rumple. Caesar said, I just finished railroad school. Cool. Rumple said, Jane, hello. Jeffrey said, what's up, Pops? Hello, Jeffrey. Patrick said, I love dogs. I have one dog. Jane said, oh, Maria. Language, Maria, says Daryl. Rumple says, Long Wrench, hello. Jeffrey said, it's cold as in Texas. Yes, here too. Lotus and Maria, I've never seen such language from you. Maria's showing happy faces. Caesar says, just finished railroad school. Any tips? Just stay safe. Keep your mind on what you're doing. And if it sounds stupid to reread the EC1, but you make sure you know it when you're getting one. Rumple says, hello, Maria. Daryl says, Rumple. Rumple says, Olivia, hello. Jeffrey said, I wish I was not in Texas. Rumple says, Mac, hello. Nickel Pony said, yes, it is, Jeffrey. Jane said, hi, Rumple. Carlos said, whoa, Maria using the F word. Yeah, how naughty. She didn't learn that from us. Rumble said, Lotus, hello. Maria said, Lotus, is that a good or bad thing? Daryl said, Nick. Lotus said, what's up, Rump? Jane said, Jeffrey, you could be in Ohio. It's 7 degrees here. My friend says, how many miles of track do you inspect a day? Well, usually on Monday it's 50 miles. Tuesday it is 38 miles. And then Wednesday it is 33 miles. And then Thursday we do the yards and stuff. So it's 125 miles of track a week. Caesar says, I can get your job worth it, or would you choose? It's a good job. I would rather be doing this, working for myself, than working for the railroad, but the railroad is a good job. Patrick said, Trump. Deer says, old fart, man. Caesar said, yeah. Oh, yeah. G-Core rules. Caesar said, always. Maria says, teach me a word today. It's not going to be F word. I know that. Caesar says, I'm out of Cali. All right, cool. Rumble said, just realized I can add T in front of my username. It's Trumple says, Trumple still skin. There you go. Maria said, I always use the F word. How dirty of you. That is so not right, Maria. You should know better. Carlos said, sup, Rumple? Lotus said, it's an okay thing. Jane said, Caesar, I'm looking for an escape plan. Caesar said, do you travel or just stay in your city? If you're talking about Jane, she travels. If you're talking about me, I'm doing more on this YouTube than I've ever done. But I do like to get out and about, and we're trying to do more, meet more YouTube people. Rumple said, hello, big boys, hello. Deer said, my dog is a pardon from the cat. Okay, pardon from the cat. Maria said, children here use it more than adults in America, but they don't know what it means. It's all because of American movies. That I'll agree. I'll believe that. I play games, said hi, hello. Carlos said, Lotus, it's going to be 122 in Australia today. Caesar said, she'd apply, travel, and get paid, but it's a lifestyle. Yeah. Rumble said, railroad, it's a one-track job. That's right. You better keep your mind on your job. That's for sure. You die very easy out here on the rail. It's very unforgiving. Maria says, you used the F word last live. No. Where's your proof? My friend said, how long have you been in the train industry? 15 years. Livy said, is Lotus accepting his tiny turbo? Caesar says, you ain't a railroad if you have multiple marriages, so You ain't a railroader if you have multiple marriages, so get ready. That's all in the person, not in the railroad. Jane said, Lowell, Pop's picking on Maria. Maria said, Letter said, Carlo, it's 4 Fahrenheit now and 5 tonight. Nicoboni said, just don't use it when you get a patient, Dr. Maria. Olivia. You will make them nervous. Yeah. Maria says, I can do whatever I want. I'm a grown person. I'm full grown. I'm an adult. I can do what I want to do, except drive a car. Lotus said, oh, and 16 inches of snow. It's nasty outside. Patrick said, all the women from Ohio are hot. Jane said she's cold. Jane said, Maria, healthcare professionals get in a lot of trouble for saying the F word. Carlos said, you must be freezing your nuts off, Lotus. Maria said, of course I'm not. I'll be very friendly and nice with my patients. Dear says, paranoid, sorry. Lotus said, it's an average turbo, thank you. Maria said, Jane, is that true? Olivia said, patina is disgusting. To you it is. Other people like it. Jane said, Carlo, it's cold. It's brittle. Cedar said, I want to get into freight or dispatch work. Ooh, that's some dispatch work's rough. Daryl says it's actually a law. A man can be arrested for cursing like that in front of a woman. Of course, that was before they met woke. Yeah. Lotus said, it's 68 in my house. Jane said, yes, we can say the F word while at work. We can't, sorry. Caesar says, all the railroads didn't mean one. Olivia said, average, I'm pretty sure you're like 20 millimeters under average. Chris said, yeehaw. Gator said, who wants to see a pic of Hillary Clinton in a bikini? No. Dope Girl says, if you're a grown man, why you sit all the time? I didn't say I sit all the time. Carlos says, I can imagine, Jane, that's way too cold. Dear says, my turbo in my Ford Explorer says, fuck you. Rita says, yes, I can do whatever I want. I'm an adult. Except drive a car. Lotus said, nobody wants that Gator. Jane says, Gator, hell no. Gator, Little Rumble says, Gator, why? And why do you have one? Lotus said, not even Bill. Dope Girl said, you honestly, I am way behind everybody, sorry. Dope Girl said, you honestly never leave your home. I'm not even in that home, thank you. Maria said, if it's only at work, that's okay. I can still stay at home. Say it at home. Jake said, hi. Caesar said, you never ride on the train or that one car that's mobile with the track wheels instead of the regular tires. I do dispatch work for the police department. I've got a truck that's got those wheels on it. I use a pickup truck to go down the rail. But I do ride the train every once in a while. Patrick says, all my exes are from Texas. Jane said, Daryl, I never heard of that law. Rumble said, Gator got Monica Lewinsky. Caesar said, up at Union Pacific. Mike says, I have to pass on that, Gator. I really don't want to it tonight. I'll have to pass. Deer says, you know how cold it is. Wisconsin, it's ball freezing cold, and your ass hair is frozen. Mary said, what about the other words? Are they allowed? Gator said, I just want to shake things up a bit here. Lotus said, I keep telling you, Olivia, you can donate a bigger turbo anytime you want. Olivia said, that's okay, dear Hunter. My Eclipse is trying to say the same thing. Rhea says, like the B word, it's for bald. Ryan said, hello, everyone. Hello, Ryan. Daryl said, yes, Shane, there are a ton of laws most don't know, like spitting on a public sidewalk. Yeah, there's some of them said you can't take your alligator for a walk, too. Mike says, Gator, nobody wants to see Hillary. Maria says, I will learn to drive soon, but she can't drive now. Rebel said, Hello? Hello? Well, guess you didn't want to talk to me. Oh, done dropped. Alright, let's see, where am I here? Rumble said, Daryl, hello. Daryl said, Gator. Maria said, just watch me do it. Maria said, or you can't, actually. Exactly. Lotus says, you can do it, Maria. Carlos said, what's up, Gator? Levy said, there's no savings. Your tiny turbo syndrome. Daryl said, I want to see Hillary behind bars. We don't do politics. Rumble said, Maria, that's awesome. You hit them. You cure them. Lotus said, just like those, no fixing your short syndrome. Biggins said, hello, Babbitt attacked federal police and pretty didn't. Okay, whatever. I don't know who you're talking about and probably shouldn't care. Lotus says, but wait, I can put a bigger turbo on. You can't grow longer legs. Maria says, I'll fire the road with my driving skills. But not literally. Rumble said, it's got real quiet for a second. Yeah. Foams said, hi. Hello, Foams. John Deere's laughing. Olivia said, hey, that hurt. Lotus said, Maria, you need a orange Camaro burnout car. Yes, you do. Biggins said, Trump just made a 2A protest illegal. Maria said, no thanks. No politics, please. Daryl says, I'm freezing. Lotus said, do you need a hug, Olivia? Maria says, I want a pink or red car. Olivia says, no, I'll bite you. Jane said, me too, Daryl. Lotus says, I bet you would. Olivia says, you're right. John Deere said, hi. Maria says, did you ever had a car accident before? Yes. Deere says, in Wisconsin are like filled with poop. Jane said, could you see Maria in a burnout car? Oh, yeah. Definitely. That'd be funny. Chitwood Hood said ZXZ, well, whatever. Maria said, I think I had a 5 or 6 car accident. You've not even got your license. You've already had 5 or 6 accidents. Lotus said, yes, Maria, wouldn't recommend it. Very painful. Maria said, Jane, why do you think it's impossible? Deere says, in Wisconsin are water filtered with shit. Rumple said, Jane, maybe like a insurance setup. Jane says, no, I don't think it's impossible. Chit said, Lowell, thank you. Maria said, funny, excuse me. What am I at here? Let's see what we got here. 20 people in here, 30 thumbs up. Thank y'all. Yeah, I'm gonna pop a top. I can't hardly read tonight. Stuff stuck in my throat. Rumble said, oh man, I'm darn drowsy today. I'm going to go to sleep. See you, Rumble. Thanks for stopping in. Olivia said, oh, Lotus, my eclipse is finally dying. Maria said, no, I wasn't driving when I had those accidents. Oh, okay. Well, whoever was driving, don't let them teach you how to drive. Maria says, you Dumbo. You calling me Dumbo? Lotus said, that sucks, Olivia. Rumple says, good night and sleep tight. I'm going to count sheep up over the moon. Jane said, Rumple, aren't you going to work soon? Olivia says, yeah, I'll have Boggy fix it. Rumple said, Jane, on a it's going to be a while. A hiatus. Jane, on a hiatus, it's going to be a while. Oh, okay. Lotus said, when it goes, find a 4G63 out of a 91 to 93. It will last longer and make gobs more power. Park said, what's up, y'all? Hello, Park. 108 Miller. Jane said, why aren't you working, Rumple? Lotus says, 6-bolt crank. Maria said, it was different people. Oh, okay. Maybe you better learn to drive and start driving them instead of them driving you. Chill says, remember Alex Predit? No, I don't know who it is. Jane said, no politics, please. Deer says, I'm going to upgrade my Ford F-150 2008 Fleet M. Okay. Lotus said, throw that 7-bolt away. Rich said, one time I was sleeping when the car hit us from behind and I thought I was part of a nightmare. Ooh. If you wouldn't have been sleeping, you'd have been paying attention. You could have told somebody, watch out. Just playing. Chill said, Dutch, 43rd. Mechanics stands with, oh man. Patrick says, I have a Coca-Cola. Dang it. Olivia says, it will be okay. Sounds like it wants to die there, not actual indicates that it wants to die. Rumble said, Jane, more than 20 years night shift, planning on doing me some courses and switch field work like a day job. Oh, cool, Rumple. Red said, but my dad didn't have any car accident in his life. He's a good driver. Then he needs to teach you. Livy said, it's a 6-bolt Lotus. Lotus said, Law, they're okay till they aren't. Livy said, Law. Maria said, he said he'd learn it by himself. Jane said, Rumple, night shift is hard on your health. I agree with Jane. Livy said, like I said, I'll javelin Bogley to fix it. Maria said, it was a taxi driver. Oh, no. Lotus says, was it swapped already? Boggy said it was a 7-bolt. Deer says, I'm going to put big freaking triple turbos on it. My 2008 F-150, my big block V6 4.2. Maria said, and I was 5, what I'm going to do at that time. Maria says, I was a baby. Cry. Rumple said, Jane, yeah, and I've a very unhealthy lifestyle too. Something's got to change, hence the decision. Holy says again, hello again from Stockholm City, Sweden. Well, hello. Welcome back. Grim says, why do you look like Jack from RE7 with the Peter Griffin body? I guess because that's what you look like. I think I look like. Olivia says, no, he didn't. Jane said, sounds good, Rumple. James says, I think my boyfriend's wife likes. Olivia said, you're smoking something, Lotus. Lotus said, probably. Patrick says, I am going to be racing car in 2:21:26 at Daytona 500. Cool. Rumple said, Jane, all right, I'm off to Fairyland later. Take care, everyone. See you, Rumple. Thanks for stopping in. Jane said, take care, Rumple. Lotus said, but I do know 6-bolt stops at 93 or 94. Trey says, can you shout out Kevin? Kevin, something like that. Maria says, I didn't cry. I was just joking. Oregon said hi again. Fire department said hi and bye. Okay, hi and bye. I looked for you the other day, buddy. I was going to show everybody your picture, but you never come back. Edmanuel said, are you Rob Ringer, aka Meathead from All in the Family? I thought you were gone. Man, I like that. Thank you. Brenda said, very strong kid. That's right. Orden said, hi. John said, 21 years graveyard shift. 7. Ooh, I'd hate that. Holy says, could you pin Rio, Brazil? I have friends over there who told them about this place. I'll write it down and we'll put a pin in for it. Thank you, Holly. Sorry. Jane said, hi, bye, Ryan. 6.2 says, big, says NDP Projects. Woohoo! John says 70 and retired now. I'd like to be retired myself. I don't want to be 70, but I'd like to be retired. Levy said, he said the engine was messed up by redneck ding-dongs and Boggy fixed it. Big said chat. Daryl said big. Lotus says I don't remember. Oren says it's Oren. Orion. Oren. Am I not Oren? Firebrand says I got my phone and laptop taken away. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Big said whoop. Alan said hey. Mike said hi, Big. Jane says oh no. Oh. Uh-oh, Ryan. Sorry. Jane said hi, Big. Big says, Long Ridge Garage. Oren says, can you pin me? Were you the one that just said that? No. Where did, where are you from, Oren? Firebrand said, but I got it back. Big said Jane. Patrick said it's cold. Maria says, how many friends Randy had at school? If you're talking about me, not many. 2 or 3 at the most. I didn't have a lot of friends. Holy says, thank you, much love to you from all around the world. Thank you. Oren said, no. Where are you from then? Robert said, what up? This is Robert. Hello, Robert. James said, John, I'm close to 70 and love retirement. Oren said, Orion. Is that right? Orion? Orion. Patrick says, I'm going to work into Colorado. Let me write that down. Colorado. Yes, I will put a pin in for you, Orion. Mike said Orion. Olivia says I'll be right back. Jane said Orion is pronounced Orion, question mark. Orion said what? Robert said nice work. Nice work shirt. Maria says what about your son? What about my son? What did I miss, Maria? Jane said hi, Robert. Harshid said use WD-40 for the chair. I do need to. Orion said yes. Jane said yes. Lotus said Cocoa Puffs and Honey Bun. That's a breakfast right there. Yes, it is. Somebody told me to cut the honey buns in half and grill them. I'm going to try that. John Deere said hi. Ryan said okay. Jane said Lotus. I wasn't going to point that out, but with Maria here. Fire department says I'll be going live on this account soon as well. Maybe around 7 for me, but your time would be 8. Okay. Patrick said yes. Coco. Lotus said oops. Robert said, where is Randy? He just got home. He went home to be with the family. Orion said, do it. Do what? Your man Kool-Aid says, do you feel young at your current age? What do you do to stay young as you grow older? I do. I mean, I don't really feel my age, but I don't do anything special. I just keep moving. XRR says hello. Maria said the only right breakfast is salad and egg. Hey, I did eat a salad today for lunch. Patrick said we need to cut all the trees down. Yes, we do. KOKA says hello. I'm new here. Well, hello. How you doing? Welcome. Big says. I appreciate you pulling up on me yesterday. Yes, sir. I was fixing to call her tonight, and I looked up, and you were there. Figured I'd jump in. You always seem to jump in for us, so I wanted to repay it. Thank you for helping us. Orion said, grill something. Oh, I'm going to. I just can't do it right now. When Randy's here, we do the cooking and stuff. Jane said, hi, KOKA. Robert said, where is your work truck? Right outside. Patrick said, just got my Jeep back to the lot. Awesome. Lotus said, salad for breakfast, not unless it's a bacon salad. Yeah, you're right. I don't eat salad for breakfast, that's for sure. I did eat it for lunch, though. John said 5 degrees with a little snow near Chicago. Mike said, Maria, maybe egg salad, but no green leafy salad. Maria says, keep moving, but you're sitting now. Lowell. Oh, Maria calling me out like that. Jane said, John, you didn't get much snow up there. We're snowed in here in Ohio. Orion said, okay, I should have known that. That was what was on that cat's necklace, the Orion belt. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Sorry. Patrick said, now it is fun time to work on it all night long. Big said, right, NDP projects. Whoop, whoop. Sarah says, LLDM, all right, LLDM said, Church of the Living God, premier and ground of the truth, light of the world. Feel the battle has begun. It is harvest time. We don't do political or hell, I just had a brain fart. We don't do that. Maria said, Maria says, Jane, I want to call you one day. She won't. Lotus says, Randy needs a treadmill so he can keep moving while live streaming. I've actually got a True. I was going to do that. Once this cold weather gets out of the way, I am going to do some live streaming on the True Elliptical. I will be doing that. That is something that's on the plans. I've just got to come up with a screen and everything so that it's all right there and I can try to read the comments as I do it. Robert said, when I pick up my work shirt. All right. KOKA said, cool channel. How are you? I'm doing great. Thank you for the compliment. Welcome. James, okay. Maria. Orion said, knock, knock. Who's there? Diane said, looking for a girlfriend. Looking for love in all the wrong places. James said, keep looking. Patrick says, go look for me for one. Go look for one. Zeke said, yo, I have a question. Okay, ask. Randy says, I had to lock Toyota in four-wheel drive since the Toyota isn't heavy enough to break the ice in my driveway. I tried to read it. I didn't get to read the second half to that, but dang, that's cool. Maria says, who won't me? Whoa, huh? What? You taking too long. I done forgot what you said. Oh, you won't. You ain't calling nobody. You always say that. Let's see. Mike said, Lotus, I really doubt if we'll ever see that. Zeke said, what should I get my girlfriend for Valentine's? If you want to keep her, nothing. Don't worry about it. Lose the 27 said, are you Army? No. Orion said, but. Shrek said, hi. Jane, whoop. Maria says, alright. Mike says, come on, Jane, take one for the team. Lotus says, it could happen. Long. Robert said, how's the weather? Cold. Very cold. Shrek said, everyone, what's your favorite kind of power stroke? The only one I can speak of was the 7.3. I had a 1999 Ford Power Stroke with a 6-speed transmission, 3/4 ton. I liked it. Definitely not USA. Said sent 100 for 2 joules. Jane said Zeke chocolate. Lotus said terrible, Robert. Maria said I will. Zeke says at Jane. Maria said, when I have the courage. Ryan said, but. Jane said, Lotus, Robert lives in Ohio. He feels our pain. Robert said, what time I get ready for work? I'll leave here at 7, so it should be around 7:15 tomorrow morning. Lotus said 7.3 is the only good power stroke. Jane said, courage for what, Maria? Shrek said, everyone who likes pancake muffins. Patrick said, I'm taking my e-bike out now to get my friend to help me with my Jeep. Terrence said, I need tie rod ends. Patrick said, she is a good person. Robert said, who be in the truck you pick me up for work? Just be me and you tomorrow, Robert. Maria said, I used to call my friend. She's Australian. She had a good time, but I didn't in a while. Randy, you left something here if you're still in here. You were supposed to go somewhere tomorrow morning. Jane said, Patrick, why do you have e-bike? You can't ride it now, can you? Shrek said, what's the hardest starting vehicle in the weather? Well, I'll be honest with you, the Vivo, it started, but it did not like starting in this weather yesterday. Terrence says, I need tie rods and bushings for 2001 Avalon. Robert said, don't forget to bring me work jacket. Okay. Randy said, yeah, I remember when I went by the 22-mile post. Lotus said, oh, ho, Rando, in trouble now. Nope, it's just something he wanted to do. Didn't get done. I'll try to work it out tomorrow. Patrick said, I'll take it out in the snow. Jane said, Shrek, any car with a bad battery. There you go, Jane. Randy said, I also forgot my wedding band in Marketplace Warrior. Uh-oh. Jay Brown says, I'm doing jumping jacks in the Speedo. Shrek says, have you ever drunk crystal clear Pepsi? Nope. Heap, you don't need to be doing that. Find another channel. Terrence said, North Carolina, ice on ground? Yes. Robert said, what work company we working at? Winston-Salem southbound. Lotus says, he really is in trouble now losing his wedding band. I know, right? Maria said, I'm going to sleep. Bye. Bye, Maria. Sleep well. Is Hal Speed said, hey, chat, turn me up. We are here. Hello, Speedo. Mike said, you beat me to it, Jane. I was trying. Lotus says, good night, Maria. Bye, Maria, said Jane. Hudson said, are you Christian? I am, but we don't discuss politics or religion. Jane said, you timed him out longer, Mike. Lol. Lotus says, hey, look fake is Hal Speed. Robert said, I can wear my work shirt. Sure. Randy said, luckily I have a few other wedding bands. Terrence says, I work at Pilgrim's pottery plant. Okay, cool. Is Hal Speed says, hi, hello. Master said, oh boy, you said we were wearing pantyhose to stay warm. I wasn't going to tell too many people my trick, but now that you said it, it keeps you warm. Is Hal Speedo said, Mesa or Ronaldo? Mike said he deserves a 24-hour cooling period. Shrek says, but no, oil pressure gets higher and higher. Range said, chicken plant. Poultry. Oh, I got it. Poultry plant. Sorry, Terrence. Patrick said, just pick her up. Jane said, right, Mike, I was just trying to get him gone. Terrence says, poultry chicken. Is Hal Speed said that again, MESSI or Ronaldo. You don't know football? I don't care for football at all. Patrick said, I am paying her $3,000 for help. I am paying her $3,000 for help me with it. Robert said, someday we can go to see Randy. Yes. Everybody's welcome. Lotus said, nope, we don't have seen our race cars. Nope, we don't, but have seen our race cars. Nicholas says, hello, dear buddy. Hello, Nicholas. Speed said, that's a shame, sweetheart. Ronaldo for life, all right? Jane said, hi, Nicholas. What we got in here? Dang, we ain't got but 10 people in here. 38 likes. Jane said, hi, Nicholas. Nancy says, do you like metal music? I like all music. Terrence says, I like classic rock. Robert says, what color your work truck? White. Nicholas said, Jane, waving. Patrick said, my race car right here. I want to say E-A-N Price said, hi. Nancy said, do you like metal music, good sir? I like all music, but yeah, I like it. Gobbler said, Semagia Chad. Lotus is sending Vivo Burnout. Nancy says, I'm the lead singer of a small band. We only have one song finished. Okay, well, that's awesome. Lotus said, where's Randy? He's at home. Robert, no, that's Justin. Sorry, I didn't see that picture. He's at home. Robert said, can I see your work truck? Not right this minute, it's dark. Is Hal Speed said, English or Spanish, whoever moves first is gay. Dean said, howdy, sir. Lotus said, that one's Team U. Yeah, he's at the house. Jane said, hi, Dean. Woo, caught up. Thank goodness. I was getting tar. Let's see. C. Mills said, "Sup, brother? I'm taking one greasy shit right now." Okay, I'm glad you decided to put that out there. FDR 314 said, "The guy that honks trains horns all night." Nope, I don't drive the train. I'm on the track inspecting it. Dean says, "God, I love my new kitchen. Awesome. I'm glad Reaper fixed it for you." Jane said, "What did Mom say about Justin's haircut?" I don't know. He never told me. Lotus says, "I like Kane. He's a lazy dog. He got over in that couch as soon as Randy opened the door, and that's where he's been right there." Terrence says, "You're a good guy." Well, thank you, Terrence. I got a guy that works with me named Terrence. Let me look at something right quick. Just made your channel. You ain't been long, have you? Patrick said, we got to go to work on it. Have a good night. See you, Patrick. Thanks for stopping in. James said, "Take care of Patrick." Lotus said, "What's up, Dean?" Patrick said, "Thank you." Reaper said, "Meow." Well, there's Reaper. Shane said, "I respect all in your work field. Thank you." Jane said, "Hey, Reaper." Lotus said, "What's up, Reaper?" Meow. John said, "CSX." Christopher said, "What is the drunkest you've ever drove?" I've never been drunk. Not a day in my life have I been drunk. Never been drunk. Jane said, "Reaper, I need my kitchen done." Lotus says, "How goes things in the wild world of Reaper?" Patrick said, "Thank you." Lotus said, "Jane, I do kitchens." Yeah, but she wants Reaper to pay for it. John, no, we cannot. Terrence said, "I'm 59 years old. I'm 57. I'll be 57 in April." Olivia said, "Okay, Buggy says give it 20 more miles roughly and it will go kaboom." Reaper said, "Lost 200 on a bet. That's not good." Robert said, "Fix your chair." I do need to. I don't think about it till I'm getting in there talking to y'all. Olivia said, "And I lied. It is a 7-bolt." Lotus says, "Knocking that bad, Olivia?" Christopher said, "Can I ask you an inappropriate question?" I would prefer you not to. Troy said, "The fuck you say?" I didn't, but okay. Lotus said, "I knew it was." Jane said, "Right. You think I have money? I'm on a fixed income." Hell, Jane, we're all on a fixed income. Lotus says, "And I knew it blow up with one more boost." Ron said, "So much for free speech." You got free speech. Jane, I was asking a question and I answered it. Jane said, "Hi, Troy." Bick says, "I'm out. Stay safe, everybody." See you, Bick. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. Robert said, "Someday can we go to Easter dinner with Randy?" Sure. Lotus said, "Kitchens aren't cheap either, Jane." Olivia said, "Leave it alone." Jane said, "Take care of Bick." Troy said, "Jane, baby." Ron said, "Talk about." No, I done told you. We don't talk about it in here. You got all the free speech you want somewhere else, just not in here. Jane said, "How's Troy, baby?" Christopher said, "What's the longest you ever hid in the bathroom at work on your phone while on the clock?" I don't know. I work for the railroad. We don't have bathrooms on the railroad. Reaper said, "I lost it because of the football game." That's not good. Ron, I've got an opinion, just to let you know. What else is this? What else you... I've got an opinion. But like I said, we do not talk about it in here. Some people are hard-headed. Olivia said, can we just fix it? Olivia said, Lotus, question mark. Terrence says, I turned my heat pump off, run space heater, cheaper. Robert said, can we go to eatery dinner with Randy? Can we wear our work shirt? Yeah, sure. Lotus said, find a 6-bolt throw bearing and crank brace. It will be more fun and last longer. Fire department says my live starts in 10 minutes. I set the wrong time. All right, fire department, you go ahead and get ready for it. We appreciate it. Lotus said maybe. Christopher said, what is the best part of working for the railroad and the gayest part? I didn't think there was a gay part of it, but the best part, I guess, is working outside. Lotus says, have to wear it down and see what it lose. Mike said, and Jane got the last word ever. Run. Gulf America said, do you have any funny bone snacks? No. Reaver says, I'm at work trending and I may have a couple of drinks. Uh-oh. Jane said, Lord, yeah, Jane isn't in the mood to mess with him. Sometimes gets old. Robert said, what do we do first in the morning for work? Look for broken rails. It's going to be cold in the morning. Mike said, Jane, I'm going to have to make you a ball cap too. Foggy says, nope, I can guarantee you bits the cam and took the biggest hit initially. Anyway. Jane said, Reaper, you are drinking the profits. Christopher said, do you ever think of using all your free time to learn AI so you can switch jobs and be a millionaire? No. I do like to do this YouTube. I would like to learn more, and I'd like to figure out the AI a little bit better. But, no. Lotus said, did it jump time? Foggy says, but we be better off taking all of it out and the pistons and go again. Terrence says, REM sings a song, Driver 8, about trains. I didn't know that. Foggy says, no, I doubt it jumped the time. Jane said, hi, Boggy. Reaver said, no, Jane, the customers sometimes buy me a drink. Boggy said, it's overheating damage that I thought wasn't going to be bad. Lotus said, throw a 7-bolt away and we'll just do it again. They are built to blow up. Robert said, did you have a paperwork ready for the meeting in the morning? Yep. Right here. I got all you need. Boggy said, hey, Jane. Lotus said, what up, Boggy? 18 people, 48 thumbs up. Thank y'all. That's awesome. Boggy said, hey, Jane. Lotus said, what up, Boggy? Boggy says, I plan to, though, everything a bit, the block and crank away. Robert said, where we stand in the meeting in the morning? Meeting's going to be in the truck. Boggy says, when I'm done with this Supra. Gulf America said, you ever think in oiling that chair? Yeah, I thought about it, but right now I'm on the live, and when I'm not on the live, it don't squeak because I'm not sitting in it. Joe Doorsman said, big country. Viz Light said, hello, John. Jay Outdoorsman, is that's it. That's where I messed up. Jay Outdoorsman said, what's your biggest deer? I don't deer hunt. Terrence says, can I ride a train from North Carolina to California? How much? Not our train, but I think there is a train that does that, but I don't know how much. Christopher said, do you recommend buying the railroad property in the board games Monopoly? I always try to. Robert said, can you call video call with Randy? Not right now. Foggy said, there you go, rat, all right. I gotta run. All work is calling. She's a beach. Okay, I think that means you're leaving. See you, Boggy. Have a good one. Thank you for stopping in. Gulf America says, I'm sure you have 3-in-1 oil laying around. I'm sure there is some somewhere. Jane said, Christopher, I never liked playing Monopoly. It took too long. I had to pay attention. It's the way I am, Jane. It's just too long of a board game. And nobody ever wants you to, you play to win, but nobody wants you to do that. They always want you to help them out, about like in real life. Olivia said, skill issue. The Circle City Compass says, what do you do? I'm a track inspector for the railroad. Grandma said, hey, Pops. Hello, Grandma. Robert said, put my name on your paperwork in the meeting in the truck. Okay. Grandma said, hi, Kane. Jane said, hello. Olivia said, hey, man. Grandma said, hi, Jane. Terrence says, what state are you in? We're in Denton, North Carolina. Grandma said, hi, Olivia. Jane said, I couldn't sit still that long, Pops. Christopher said, how can I make my co-workers think I am work harder if all I secretly do is play video games on my phone? Well, start off with, you don't need to try to make your co-workers think you work harder. You need to work harder. Get off your phone, do your job. Get on the phone when you're off your job. Jane said, I'm in Ohio, Terrence. Grandma said, hi, Terrence. Mike said, hello, Grandma. Robert said, where is Randy work jacket? Right there. Grandma said, hi, Christ. Grandma said, hi, Mike. Olivia said, honey buns, ? Yep. Grandma said, hi, Robert. Jane said, Christopher, what do you do? Fudd says, you live close to Mayberry. Not too far, about an hour and 15 minutes away, something like that. Olivia said, I want some. All right. Hugh said, hit the like button, peeps. Hello, Hugh. Duro Master said, what we up to? Oh, about 5'10", 5'11". Jane said, hi, benefit. Terrence said, I'm in Sanford, North Carolina. You're not too far. What is that? That's about 45 minutes from here, I think. Hugh said, hello, Randy. Hello, Hugh. Jane said, hi, Hugh. Hugh said, hello, Jane. Olivia said, hey, Hugh. Olivia said, hello, Terrence. Christopher said, what is your favorite fast food place? I don't know. I mean, it depends on what I'm wanting. Different things, different places. Whatever. I usually go to fast food for just something real cheap, like, the dollar menu or something like that. I don't spend a lot of money at fast foods. Robert said, can I wear a Randy work jacket? Yeah. He won't know. I won't tell him. Hugh said, hello, Maria. Grandma said, hi, Master. Hugh said, hello, Robert. Hello, Dora. You said, hello, Benefit. And Grandma said, hi, Randy 3. Jane said, I want to visit Mayberry. Adam did a video going through Mayberry. I love that show. Yes. You said, we're in Fayetteville. Leo says, hey, hello, Leo. You said, hello, Mike, and hello, Christopher. Olivia said, my Wi-Fi is being a bitch. Grandma said, hello, Leo. Terrence said 50 miles south of Raleigh. Yep. Jane said, hi, Leo. Hugh says, hello, Boggy. Hello, Maria. Maria done gone to bed. Olivia says, I'm angry now. You stay angry, Olivia. Robert said, can you show me Randy's work jacket? It's right there right now while I'm trying to get caught up. Christopher said, what is your goal for this week? To get to the end of Thursday so I can have the weekend off. Mike said, hi, Hugh. Hugh said, hello, Scoots. Daryl says, Hugh. Jane says, Olivia, do you have ice? Grandma said, why, Olivia? Hugh says, hello, Lotus. Fuddy says, do you and your son work together? I hear you put a lot of hours in when you work for the railroad. We are short line. I do 40 hours a week. We work together, but he works on the train. I work on the tracks, and Randy does. Well, like I said, we're short line. We don't go anywhere, so we don't do a lot of hours on the railroad. We do our 40 and then come home. Randy probably don't make 40 a week. I'm sure he don't. Grandma said, hey, Mac. Daryl said, Grandma. Grandma said, Lotus. Hugh says, yeah, you know, hello's skyrocketed when we show up. Yep. Mike said, Jane, we went to Mayberry's a couple years ago. Olivia said, no more ice. It's just super cold. Hugh said, hello, Daryl. Grandma said, hi, Benefit. Hugh said, hello, Reaper. Lotus said, hello, Grandma and Hugh. Mike said, if you go, you need to schedule it during Mayberry days. Yes, that'd be a good time to go. Robert said, what number your work truck? MW25. Olivia said, fight me then, old man. I'm too tired to mess with an old young person that's mad. Hugh said, man, we had so much fun with the grandkid ladies. Awesome. Mike said, Robert, it's BR 549. Olivia said, my Wi-Fi is being mean to me, Grandma. That's why I'm mad. Terrence said, Fayetteville is 85 south of Raleigh. Hugh said, I didn't get to work on the harness like I wanted to. Lol, they were great. James said, Mike, what happened during Mayberry days? Fire department said, going live now, everybody. Grandma says, I'm sorry, Olivia. Olivia said, it's okay. Hugh says, hello, fireman. Grandma said, hi, fire department. Robert said, I'm ready for work. I have my work shirt on. Awesome. Lotus said, watch out, Randy. She's going to kick you in the shin. I know, right? Hugh said, cool deal. Carlos says, hey, hello, Grandma. Hugh, I'm back, y'all. Fudd said, where do you do the live from, your garage, basement, or just somewhere in the house? This is actually the upper office in the tire shop. Grandma said, Lotus. Hugh said, Terrence. Yes, Terrence. And Hugh said, Fort Bragg. Grandma said, hi, Big Boy Toys. And Hugh said, hello, Carlo. Robert said, I hope we see Randy at work. Olivia said, you should watch out because I'm going to throw a cast iron pan. Lotus. 16 people, 53 thumbs up. Lotus said, those hurt. Only if they hit you. John Deere said, hi. Hello, John Deere. Hugh said, hello, John Deere. Grandma said, hi, Jacob. Carlos said, Grandma, did you see Sophia's braids? So pretty. They said, oh, I don't miss. Hugh said, cast iron cookies, a flavor that can't be imitated. Lotus says, you won't do it. Grandma said, yes, I did. 21 people, 53 thumbs up. Grandma said, very pretty. Robert said, can I see my paperwork for the meeting? Put my name in the paperwork. Larry Dildon said, hi. Hello, Larry. Carlos said, thank you, Grandma. Grandma said, hi, Larry. And Jane said, hi, Larry. Hayes said, hi there, cool guy. Well, hello. Olivia says, I don't know. Pissed me off enough and we will find out. Terrence says, I love building model cars. Now too expensive? Yes, they are. Hugh said, hit the like button, peeps. Yeah, please. John Deere said, hi, Grand Vic. He actually said, hi, Grand Vito Vic. Grandma said, hi, Hazel Doggy. I said, Hayes. It's Hazel, ain't it? Jane said, Terrence, everything is too expensive. Huh. Robert said, what time we go to the meeting in the truck? About 7:53. John Deere said, hi, Grandma V. Hugh said, hello, Hazel. Daryl says, came back there around a lot, then give up and huff and puff away. I know. He has done up and sat right there and sleep since I got here. Lotus said, you won't do it, yell and stomp around a lot and give up and huff and puff away. I just mixed up those two comments. Daryl said, came back there resting up for the action this weekend coming up. Yeah. Then Lotus said, you won't do it, yell, stomp around a lot and give up and huff and puff away. Grandma says, Pops, is Randy 3 working? Nope, he went home early to be with his family. He's been here for the last 2 nights because of the weather. And this is close to the shop, to work. Mike said, Jane, they actually have local actors who played the original cast of the Andy Griffith Show, and things go on for a week-long event. Hugh said, right. Daryl Roberts all thumbs up. Terrence said, I hope the cost of things will go lower soon. Me too, Terrence. Jane said, Mike, I don't do crowds very well. Grandma said, what's going on this weekend, Mac? Olivia said, quit calling me out, you jerk. Who? Hugh says, wow, Mike, talk about fanboys. Mike said, they also have meet and greets Don Knox's daughter and Ronnie Chanel, who played sister on Gomer Pyle. Robert says, can we go cook dinner with Randy? Not tonight. You said, that's cool, Mike. Grandma said, oh, okay, thanks, Pop. Yes, ma'am. Jane said, I love that show, though. Mike said, Jane, it really wasn't that crowded at all. Daryl said, 1 hour and 15 minutes tonight, everybody. Hugh said, it's a has-been show and most don't know about it anymore. Big Bud said hi. Hello, Big Bud. Let me get a little closer. Yeah, Big Bud said hi. Robert said, pick me up for work. Okay, we figured that out. Said I've been here about 7:15. Jane said, Daryl, I'm not sure I'll be able to stay awake. This cold is awful. Grandma said, hi, Big Bud. Daryl said, I'm sure Randy's having something planned. Ha ha. Grandma said, oh, Lord, Mac. I'm sure we got something going on. I did get a call today. I might go look at an excavator. Parker said, where your buddy? They at home. Terrence says, I like WKRP in Cincinnati. Boy, I ain't heard that in a long time. John Deere said, hi. Olivia said, I want pork chops tonight. Robert said, my work jacket is great. Jane said, Randy, have something planned for what? We always got something planned, Jane. Daryl said, I have to, it's my show, but I'd be in bed right now if I could. I know what you mean, Daryl. I am ready to lay down right now and go to bed. Grandma said, hi, Parker. Parker said, hey, Granny. Libby said, but when I asked Boggy, he told me to go get a job and pay for it. Oh, them's their fighting words, I believe. Ryan said, this guy says the N word off the stream. Ryan, you don't even know me. Don't tell everybody that lie. But you know, you're right. I do. I say, please don't be so negative. Mike said, Jane, all the graffiti that they use for the national monuments come from that town? Granite. Jane, all the granite. Oh, okay. Parker says, bye, buddy. See you, Parker. Lotus, not Lotus, I'm sorry. Logan said, Cave. Hello, Logan. Hugh said, hello, Parker. Lotus says, tell him you will stop cooking. What's this person keep saying? Why is this person being stupid? Oh, no. Mason, you're a nasty thing. Hugh said, hello, 51. Robert said, what in the meeting about in the truck? Tomorrow's work? Daryl said, my skid loader keeps fighting me. I'll set it and go to a different one. I'll sell it. Grandma said, hi, 51. Hugh said, don't do it. Roll on the ground and left my ass off. Daryl said, I've always been Bobcat, but last two I found fault with. King says, how long will you be sitting here reading comments, Grandpa? Go do something fishing. It's better. I've got about 18 more minutes, and then I'll be done for tonight. Olivia said, they is some fighting words. Pops, he just won't let me fight him. You said, deuces, homies. Terrence says, have a good night, everyone. Good people. See you, Terrence. Thanks for stopping in. Grandma said, hi, King 46. Hazel said, can you buy me some LeBron orange juice? We'll see. We'll see. I'll check into it. Hugh says, reading is intelligent. Jane said, take care, Terrence. Patrick said, hi. Mind Rush Real. Mind Rush Real said, would you no, see, you're not going to do that. Mind Rush, we don't play those games. Lotus said, did he put his child gate up? Grandma said, hi, Patrick. Mike said, Jane, there are pictures of Mayberry on our Facebook page. Patrick says, hi, how are you doing? Doing great, hope you are. Jane said, hit the like. Oh, Isabel said, I'm 9. Well, hello, Isabel. I hope I said that right. Adam said, sending all kinds of stuff. Grandma says, I'm good, and you? You sending me sleeping, Randy looking goofy. Millennium official, I cheat on my wife not to be mean, but to accept masculine alpha male energy. She needs to learn to respect and know what I, as a man, am naturally above her, and hereby I recommend recommend for everyone. Well, I'll tell you what I recommend. During the night, she needs to take 25-pound test line, tie them around your testicles, tie it to the bedpost, and then holler fire in the middle of the night. See what you do when you run, when the fishing line tightens up. Then you won't have to worry about cheating no more. Patrick said, okay, now he's sending pictures of the Vivo, Justin, and the dog. Kane, Grandma said, hi, Adam. You sending pictures again. Hazel said, bomb, Kalaka, whatever. Ma says, Are you a vet? I am not. Daryl said, well, officially, you're a low-life idiot. That's right. Said, just saying. Hugh said, or you need to learn to love. Instead of trying to be a beta, want to be alpha mate. Mike said, LOL, Pops. James says, Lorraine Bobbitt for sure. That's right. Lotus said, that's cold-blooded. He won't do it no more, though. Hunter Smith said, what's up, guys? How you doing, Hunter? Hugh said, most women are smarter than and more intelligent than men. So when you want to be alpha male, better to show up, you will understand. Lotus says, I like it. Daryl said, yes, sir, Randy. Official says, y'all are just beta males jealous I'm on my alpha male in the room. No, you're the only one stupid enough to do shit like that. And you're what gives guys bad names, people like you. And matter of fact, they ought to tie it real tight around your testicles and then see what happens. Olivia said, excuse me, cheating is not okay. You're right, Olivia, it's not. Lotus says, you're just a tool. Grandma said, please be kind and double tap the like button. If you like it, then here, hit the subscribe button. It's free. Thank you. Have a good night. That's right. Grandma, if you're leaving, have a good night. Thank you. Have a great night. Hunter said, doing good. Hope you are. I am. Daryl said, be right back. Hugh said, hit the like button, please. Grandma said, hi, Hunter. Skill says, damn. Hugh says, an alpha knows he doesn't need to hurt and score the Belta males category. Bacon says, you are live. Yes. Hazel says, hi, I like your shirt with a blue sock. There you go. Olivia said, if you're an alpha male, then you suck at your role. Sean said, hi. Hello, Sean. Fuel Go Time said, can we see you twerk? Lord have mercy, no. Hazel said, would be good. Bacon said, what the freak? You know and understand things about live things. Grandma said, hi, Sean's. Bacon says, you are bald. Good God Almighty. I'm bald? No. Clean your glasses. I'm not bald. Byron says, Byron says, hello, everyone. Hugh says, hello, Byron. Bryson, I'm sorry. Sean said, hi, Grandma. Mike said, 3 more likes, everyone. Yes, I'm real close. Bacon said, I assume so. Whatever, we'll make you clap. Is that good? Jane said, hit the like, everyone. Hazel says, hi, Grandma. How are you? Skiller says, can I see your dog, please? Yeah, there he is. He's looking at you. Grandma said, hi, Bryson. Lotus says, why do the weirdos always come out at the end? I have no idea. Tony says, howdy. You work for CSX. My pops works for them in Virginia. I'm CSX and Norfolk Southern both co-own us. We're a short line, Winston-Salem southbound. My paycheck says CSX though. Bacon said he has elbows on both of his arms. Oh hell. Grandma said, hi, Tony. Bryson said, my whole yard is nice. I understand. No, make booty clap. No, I ain't doing that. Too cold to be doing all that. Hugh said, whack job always show up and think they are LARPing alpha males. I know, right, Hugh? Sean said, that Glassman woke up the dog. I know. Hazel says, can you pet the dog? Can I pet the dog? Bacon says he is a handicap. Bacon says my dad can beat up your dad. I hope so. John Deere says clap on, clap off. Ha ha. You said being on air in the grandma's basement, they can be only they can be anyone they want, but a real alpha male. That's right. Tony says from Virginia to Maine, it's all over now. Grandma said, good job, Jacob. Lotus said, my dad is dead. I don't think your dad can take a ghost. Hunter says, Law, we got a bunch of snow. I made some money taking care of it. Awesome. Olivia said, let's get technical. It's usually the brain and the mouth of the owl. It also sits much lower on the chart. Okay. You said, roll on the floor, laugh my ass off. Lotus. Lotus says, go full portraits in theirs. Grandma said, hi, Tony. Bacon says, I don't like you to elbow arm people with no hair. Okay. I don't like burnt bacon either. Jay Durango says, dude, can you read? Not very good. But Carlos said, it was that man there, Daddy. Yeah. Hugh said, good, Hunter. Money from snow is awesome. Hazel said, my dog is golden doodle named Hazel Bear. Cool. Olivia said, my dad is dead and cremated. You'll be fighting Nash. Bacon Burner says, I am an alpha male. You're an idiot. And if you think you're the only one that sees I'm bald, yeah, you're an idiot. Hugh says, yeah, LARPing online doesn't make it so. Jane said, Bacon must be a child. Yeah, it must be. My daddy. As old Carlos says, Daddy, that's the guy that's picking on me. Olivia says, you're a Delta at best, Bacon Burner. Patrick said, Bacon, stop it. John Deere said, thank you, Grandma V. Hugh says, right. Jane Hunter said, thanks. I did my driveway, 2 neighbors and another nearby place. We had about a foot. Olivia says, oh, Bacon, your mommy is calling you for dinner. John Deere said, hi. Carlos said, Bacon's nuts ain't dropped yet. Hugh says, a real alpha male can handle his ladies and make them happy. Doesn't need to run around. That's cowardly. That's right. Grandma said, wow, that's a lot, Hunter. Hazel said, bear in the chair. 42, 41, cool man, cool leaf. Hugh said, roll on the ground, laugh my ass off, Olivia. Grandma said, hi, Olivia. Lotus says, all feeding the... Is that a bear? Olivia said, what? Hugh said, he ain't had it since it had him. That's right. King said, what's the furthest you ever drove? Probably to Indianapolis. James had hit the lake, y'all. Yes. We're winding this down. Daryl was got a hour and something. Forget what he said. Premiere right after this. We got about 5 minutes. Hazel said, roll, baby, roll. Go Ohio State. Ohio. Olivia said, it ain't said nothing. Mike says, you hit 61. Yes, I see that. Shamu says, how tall are you? 5'11", I believe it is. Lotus said, Sabi, is farther than Indy. Sydney. Is it? Yeah, that may be Ohio then, Sydney, Ohio. I didn't know. I don't know. I just know that I went to Sydney, Ohio, and I went to Indianapolis. That's probably about the farthest I've drove. John said, "God bless everyone." Lotus said, "Sydney." I once I got to reading it, I knew what you meant. You said, sweet 61. Hit the like button, peeps. Carlos said, "Cleveland rocks, oh ho." Hazel said, 67 licks on a sucker to finish. You got me on that one, see. That was slick. Sorry, everybody. Hazel caught me slipping. Grandma said, "Thank you, John. Glad you as well." Uga no hi said hi, hello. John Deere says, "You too, John." Lauren said hi, hello. Reed says, "Can you shout me out, Reed?" Grandma said hi, Uga. Park says, you look like Jungle One from, okay. Jane said, "Hit the like button, peeps." You said, "That was a show, Carlo." Cleveland Ricks, it was a show with the cat with glasses. Grandma says, "Hi, Lauren." Hugh says, "Can't remember his name." Minto says, "Whoop." Daryl said, "I drove from Sydney, Ohio to San Diego, Texas. From there, I went to Orlando, Florida. From there, I went up to New Jersey and then back to Sydney. Total of 3,800 miles, if I remember right." Wow. Lotus said, "Drew Carey." Charm says, "Hey, I'm from Surrey, Lankin. Welcome." Ron said he has slugged a few hard R's. Hunter said, "All right, guys, I got to head out. I head to bed. I'm pretty sick. Just fighting. I figured I'd stop in and catch up. Have a good day." See you, Hunter. Thanks for stopping in. Bod says, Carlos says, "Yes, I know you got rum." Hugh says, "Right." Lotus, Drew Carey. Jane says, "Bye, Hunter." Hugh says, "Hello, Carlo." Charm showing some flags. Ron says, "Is this type of guy that between..." Lotus says, "I think he does prices right now." Tell you what. All right, everybody, it's getting real close to time. It's got about 1 minute. Why did you skip my question? You probably had something stupid said. Because you're asking that LBO bullshit. Ron said had to laugh there, stifle a laugh. Anyway, listen, everybody. It is 8 o'clock. Everybody that's wanting to go over to Metal Art Customs premiere. He does his premiere at 8 o'clock. Y'all have a good day, good night, whenever you're watching this. And I do appreciate all the likes and the comments, even the people that act stupid. Y'all take it easy and remember, keep it silly. Thank you.